So what is the difference between using a trauma-informed approach in our work and actually using the trauma items on the tools?
Well, I think it's important to have a fundamental background of what the approach is going to be. And I think that it's important to recognize the individuality of that approach before rating those items. So that's what I love about the TCOM tools, and that we can see each individual for who they are, and then we can delve into what their needs are. So based on the understanding it from that lens of being vulnerable, having courage to even talk about difficult things, and then have that shared vision with that individual of how they would like to approach those items and delve into those difficult, challenging events that may have occurred.
So for me, trauma-informed approach is really about understanding the things that have happened to people that may have impacted their emotional, psychological, or physical state of mind. And so I think of the cliche of the iceberg, right? So the things that happen on the surface are usually sort of smaller than what's actually going on below the surface. So I think it's about understanding the bigger picture there, right? It's about knowing and being sensitive to the possibility that someone's gone through something that's impacting them that perhaps they are not able to articulate. And I think about rating, when rating items, trauma items, I think it's important to understand how an individual might be responding to some of their trauma experiences and how their response to their trauma experience might impact their function.
Yes, I totally agree with both of you, Brandon and Cassandra. I think that it's really about how we're engaging, how we're getting to know people. It's not a checklist asking people, have you been through this event, or this event? It's more about, I am here as a human being coming alongside of you. People go through things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the reaction people have to hard experiences is the same either. So part of it is traumatic event doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a, traumatic reaction. So part of it is just sort of getting the jargon out of it, getting to know people for who they are, coming alongside of them, because these are also categories of experiences in people's lives that are pretty intimate. They're pretty personal. We have to create that safety for people to say, I'm here to come alongside of you. You could just share with me who you are, and I will do my best to try to help you and support you. And sometimes that means you telling me a story about your life that was traumatic for you. And how do I take that in and how do I respond to that? It's completely different. It's about the relationship. It's not about the checklist, but it's also about how do I take what I'm hearing from you and you're gifting to me because you feel safe with me. How do I take that and leverage that into the best way to support you in a person-centered kind of approach?
And I like how Joanne framed that, because it really delves into the principles of a trauma-informed lens, that sense of safety, that collaboration, the mutuality, empowering them where they have a voice and choice. That's the big thing here, because TCOM is about the voice for the voiceless. And so when we think about that trauma-informed approach and embodying all of those principles, people can feel that as we translate to them what their needs are and how they would like to approach the process.
I think that for me, the difference in kind of a trauma responsive approach or being trauma informed is really about my role within the conversation. There will be events that people need specific interventions or specific support about because they are experiencing a reaction to that trauma, or that there's an impact on their life negatively because of the trauma.
I think what you both described is sort of this idea that everyone has an individualized experience. And so when you think about rating, you want to take that into consideration. Everyone has their own bar, they have their own threshold, and their own ability to cope or not with the circumstances of their lives and their experiences at large.
Absolutely. So we don't treat everybody the same. We come alongside of people for them to share their story, and their story then becomes a way in which we can see a window in which we can offer some support, some help, some guidance, but we don't sort of approach every person the same way. And that's the beautiful thing that I think both of you are saying, is that getting to know people, and the story is individual to who you are, just like it is for each of us. And how do I even share of my own story, my own experiences, my own vulnerabilities, so that that I see you as a human versus provider client kind of power differential in our relationship. I'm coming alongside of you in whatever way I can.